We often associate the term mind control as something like being under a witch's spell in a delirious trance. Perhaps we see the victims of mind control portrayed as naive damsels in distress or gullible knights in shining armor. But what if I told you that cult mind control happens every day to ordinary people and is achieved by much more subtle methods? Meet Wanda. Wanda is an ordinary person with an ordinary job that she qualified for with her ordinary education and work experience. Wanda drives a normal car, lives in an average apartment, eats a normal diet, and earns an average wage. Wanda enjoys doing the usual things. She usually works out, enjoys the usual Sunday dinner with her family, hangs out with her usual friends, and depends on her usual habit of rest and relaxation. Wanda typically works to better herself, learn, and grow in the various areas of her life, but is also usually content. At least all that was true until one day, when Wanda received a very unusual message.
Hey girl, I was just scrolling through my social media suggestions because I'm always open to network with sharp, ambitious people when I came across your profile. You are a rock star. You have qualities that really stand out, and I know this just seems so random, but I just so happen to have a few spots open for my business mentorship group. My mentor has been financially independent since he was 29 years old, and he occasionally takes on mentees who have an entrepreneurial drive and want an extraordinary life. You seem like you'd be a perfect fit. Would you want to meet up to learn more?
Indeed, this is extremely unusual. I've never heard of anyone being financially independent so young, let alone someone who might be able to teach me to do that too. This may actually be an extraordinary opportunity, and I'll never know unless I find out for myself.
Sure, let's meet. Wanda, you truly seem like an extraordinary person stuck in an ordinary life. I would love to hook you up with my mentor and possibly hook you up with this extraordinary opportunity. But first, let me ask you some questions. Would you consider yourself an independent thinker? And before you answer that, let me clarify what I mean. Do you let your friends and family rule your life and dictate your decisions? Or are you actually smart and realize that the opinions of your loved ones don't pay your bills?
Well, when you put it like that, I'd say I'm an independent thinker.
Perfect. And on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your quality of life? And before you answer that, let me clarify. Are you always on vacation, spending time with your family 24/7, and sleeping in every single day without a responsibility or care in the world? Or are you average, doing the usual things with normal people at a typical job, basically making your life meaningless because you live a common human experience?
Well, when you compare it to being on vacation 24/7, yeah, I would say that my life is kind of on the lower end.
Excellent. I can tell you want to stop being a broke loser with a job and actually start living a life of significance. But before you can meet my mentor, I need you to read this book. Hello, I am the mentor, and I am very, very rich. It's been ages since I've had to work a normal, average job like all of you peasants. You all are slaves to the 9 to 5, toiling your lives away in a meaningless existence. Your spouse is unhappy with you for the time you spend away to earn a living, continues to manifest distance and resentment in your marriage. Your children barely know you because they go off to school, you go off to work, and by the time you come home, they barely recognize your face, let alone have a relationship with you. If you're content working a job, you're apathetic and lazy, and you'll never amount to anything. But if you follow me, I will show you how to make your dreams come true, and all of your troubles will simply melt away.
Every time I get around these people, I just feel happier and more positive about my future. I never thought it was possible for me, but listening to all these success stories, one after another, makes me really think I can achieve that level of success too. Working a job now seems to pale in comparison to the life of freedom I can have. The mansions, beach vacation homes, luxury cars, the private jet, I could have it all. In fact, I can't believe I ever settled for that dingy job in the first place. I deserve so much more than my crappy wage and my useless education. I hate my junky car and my tiny apartment. And while I love my family and friends, they may be holding me back from achieving my full potential. Time flies when you're having fun. Wanda was welcomed with open arms and showered with praise and affirmation from her new mentor and group. The environment was full of hope, ambition, and positivity. Week after week, she heard her mentors talk about her potential in this business opportunity, telling her stories of transformation and triumph. She read more books and listened to the audio tapes that her mentors sent her, and she started implementing these success habits in her daily routine. After a few months of regular weekly meetings and daily reading and audio tapes, Wanda catches the contagious excitement of her fellow team members as they prepare her for her very first conference.
I am so pumped for this conference. Wanda, you don't even know what you're in for. This is going to be a life-changing experience. No, seriously, if you thought you were pumped before, just wait until this event. Everyone says that their first conference is the one that they remember most. You will be forever changed after this weekend.
Wanda did, in fact, experience tremendous change that weekend. They started their road trip before sunup to be among the first in line to get front row seats at the conference. This front row mentality proved how serious her group was to go the extra mile, waiting in line for several hours before the start of the event. For 3 days, Wanda sat with her group, listening attentively during the endless lineup of back-to-back speakers, then staying up late chasing the heat outside the invitation-only meetings in hopes of catching a quick interaction with some of these prestigious leaders. She hadn't met any of these people, but she recognized some of their voices as the ones she would hear in her audio recordings that she played on repeat for months leading up to this occasion. After a long weekend of dreams built and excitement rising, and with admittedly very little sleep, the moment of transformation arrived in the form of the Sunday morning service. Finally, Wanda learned the true secret of their success.
It is such an honor to be able to stand up in front of you today and share what we have on our hearts. You see, I roll out of bed after 13 hours of sleep on our 2,000 thread count Egyptian cotton sheets. And I roll out of bed every afternoon and thank God that I no longer have to lift a finger to do anything in my life. I look around this room and I see many of you have made tremendous sacrifices to be here. Some of y'all have missed your brother's wedding. Others are missing their children's graduation right now. Others of y'all don't even know how you're gonna get home at the end of this conference because you ran out of gas on your way here. But instead of stopping at the gas station, you chose to come here this weekend to fill up on the fuel you need to succeed. Right before my team left separately from us, because of course we left on our private jet, but right before our team left at the ass crack of dawn to get here, my friend and downline Janice, where are you, Janice? There's Janice. Janice informed me that her dear sweet Nana passed away about a week ago and that her memorial service was this weekend. And so I without any hint of suggestion of what the correct answer was, asked Janice, "Do you need to give up this life-changing, earth-shaking weekend in order to go to a 2-hour memorial service to honor your dead Nana that you haven't even seen for 3 years since you joined this team?" And Janice, 3 years in this business and only 2 people in her downline. Now that's faith. Janice looks at me and correctly answers me, "Let the dead bury the dead." And that just reminds me of why we keep showing up for y'all. You see, it's not the 10,000 square foot mansion or the $70,000 sports cars that gets us through the day. It's not the private jet that we take on simple errands every day. It's not even the jewelry, handbags, and dresses that we buy on y'all's dime. No, it's the legacy. It's the legacy that we're leaving by flashing our cash to all of you, selling the dream. You see, we keep getting richer because y'all keep sacrificing, knowing full well that only a fraction of you will make any profit at all, much less make as much money as we do. But we keep showing up for you day in and day out in our $9,000 gowns with our $1 million lifestyle slideshows, all to humbly honor our upline and bring glory to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Wanda came out of that weekend conference activated, ready to start taking action in growing her business. Day by day, she aimed to duplicate her upline in any possible way, hoping that by becoming more like her mentors, she would soon have the same level of success they had. The more active she was in recruiting, the more she earned time with her mentors and exclusive opportunity to associate with other activated members of the team. The deeper she got involved with the team, the more she withdrew from other social events with friends and family members. Initially, her loved ones were skeptical, but now they were just downright negative. Compared to the positive ambition of her newfound girl boss family and the constant drive of her mentors, their criticism sounded more and more like the negativity she was trying to escape.
Why are you always around those people? You used to be so fun, hanging with the crew on weekends, relaxing after a week of honest work. Now all you do is cancel plans with us because you have some last-minute business meeting. You used to be really happy with your life. I mean, sure, you had goals that you were striving for, but now it just seems like you look down on us because we don't dream of being on vacation 24/7 and traveling the world with your business friends. You used to care about other people, but now all you care about is growing your business no matter what the cost. And speaking of cost, have you actually made any money in this business yet? And I'm not asking for what you're manifesting or speaking into existence. You've been in this business for months now, and you claim that it's benefited so many people, but have you actually turned a profit yet? You've given up so much time that you could have been spending doing things that you actually enjoy with people who actually love you. You have never had to earn the love and respect of your family and friends, and those relationships are as precious as diamonds, not the cheap rhinestones that you keep chasing after. And how many of those people would actually stay friends with you if you decided to leave the business? You may think they'd stay friends with you, but look at all the other people who've left since you've joined. Have they stayed friends with those people?
Though Wanda's friends and family had her best interest at heart, urging her to think rationally about the return on investment she was really getting in this business, their critique only drove Wanda further into the arms of her upline. As she continued to be love-bombed by her team and indoctrinated with books and audios, her grip on reality seemed to fade. I am never leaving this group. I'm going to do life with these people forever. I'll marry someone who believes in this business just as much as I do, and my kids will grow up being best friends with the kids of other team members. I'll travel the beaches of the world with this team, Friends may come and go in this group, but the realest ones will stick it out and make it to the top with me. I don't care how long it takes or how much money I'm spending in this business. Every day is a day closer to diamond, no matter what I have to sacrifice. At this point, I don't care what anybody says. I'll succeed in this business with or without them, and I don't care who I have to leave behind. No matter what, I'm in this business for life.
The explanation of this little spoof that I just put on, I wanted to thank all of the people that have been a part of my channel for the last 2 years. This has been quite a journey of recovery and growth from Amway Ltd, which I consider a cult that I was in for 2.5 years. And if you have left a multi-level marketing company or you have been in a cult-like scenario like this, I have really appreciated the way that you guys have engaged with my content and allowed me to analyze and dissect the mentality that I was indoctrinated with, and your commiseration and just letting me know that I'm not alone has been a huge part of my recovery journey over the last 2 years. This video took a little bit more effort, but it is worth it because I think it kind of marks the end of an era. In a week, I'm going to be moving back to school, and that was something that I had the option to do when I was in Amway, but my upline persuaded me not to go back to school because I was in this business for life, and if this was what I really wanted, then I shouldn't be pursuing anything outside of this business. And so now my going back to school is a huge mark of progress and transformation in the way that I've been able to reclaim a lot of my life and my own mental state, and just take back my life, basically, after being in this for 2.5 years. So I just wanted to thank everybody who's been a part of my journey for the last 2 years. If this is your first video of mine and you are just now starting to recover from your own experience, I hope that you'll stick around and watch a lot of my old videos in which I really dive into the mentality that they were using as part of their indoctrination process. And this is by no means my last anti-MLM video. I still really want to dive into how to help family members and friends who are in a multi-level marketing company. I still really want to do that. But as with everything in my life, as I've learned that in terms of healing, and it might be different for you, but for me, in terms of healing, sometimes it's easier for me to pick up something that I need to heal from when it's in season for me to heal from it, deal with it when I can, and then as soon as it's no longer really relevant to me, just set it aside and mature, grow, have new life experiences, and then when I'm a little bit more emotionally distanced from it, but then still have some work to do with it, I can pick it back up again and deal with it from a new, fresh set of eyes, just kind of having a new perspective as I continue to mature beyond the point of what I needed to heal from. So with multi-level marketing, it's kind of the same thing. This last 2 years has been pretty heavy in really trying to dissect the mentality that I was indoctrinated with. And so now as I go back to school, I'm going to be picking up some new things that we haven't really brought to the table in this channel, some new experiences that I still have to heal from. A lot of that happened when I was in school 5 years ago. But I took a medical leave of absence because I kind of had like a psychotic break. And it was shortly after that that I was picked up in Amway Ltd because
they prey on the vulnerable, and I was very vulnerable from the stuff that had happened at my school. So all of that being said, it's a big shift in my life, and so we might see a little bit of a shift in my content, but this isn't the end of my anti-MLM content. I'm just letting you know that this train is still going, and we're not just going to stay in one headspace for the rest of the time that I'm on YouTube. I'm going to continue growing, and I hope that you'll continue growing with me, and just continue letting me know your thoughts. And just because our friendship, our little parasocial relationship started with a commonality of some very unpleasant memories, maybe we can make some new memories together. That would be fun. So if you're not already subscribed yet, I hope you will consider it, but only if you want to. So anyway, let's just kind of get into it. So this skit was my illustration, my goofy little illustration of the adapted and expanded version from Stephen Hassan, his adapted and expanded version of Kurt Lewin's 3-stage model of change. The 3 stages of this model are unfreezing, changing, and refreezing. And so Wanda has gone through this full spectrum of indoctrination where by the end she is full on midsummer flower crown indoctrinated in the group. But the stage of unfreezing is where I really spent the majority of my time in illustrating that in this skit. It's disorientation and confusion, sensory deprivation or sensory overload, physiological manipulation like sleep deprivation. There's hypnotic techniques like visualizations, storytelling, and metaphors, linguistic double binds or use of suggestion, which I basically broke down in the recruiter's interview, where they present this basically this false dichotomy or false dilemma of use of suggestion of your life is either really great or really bad. There's no in between. Or you're either an independent thinker or you're just a slave to your friends and family. And there's no in between of just being a normal person who sometimes takes advice, but also is their own autonomous human being. So a lot of this kind of linguistic double binds, this use of suggestion, getting the person to question his or her own identity. Whereas in the beginning, Wanda was very happy with her life, just usually content with her typical, normal, average, usual kind of life. And then suddenly with the use of suggestion, the storytelling, the metaphors, constantly getting her to question, you know, maybe my life isn't as great as it should. Maybe I deserve better. If these people can do it, why can't I? And kind of getting a new perspective or changing the narrative a little bit about how she sees the life that she's currently living. And then finally, redefining an individual's past, like implanting false memories to forget positive memories. All of these things were used with Wanda in terms of, you know, the disorientation and confusion in like, well, this is such a strange opportunity, but I may as well go into it with an open mind. Let me just hear them out. And then to go to these meetings and be in sleep deprivation as they're going to the conference or going to these late night meetings. The visualizations and story time as she had this blinking crown, that was supposed to kind of indicate that she was daydreaming. She was envisioning what she could potentially accomplish in this business. The mansions, the cars, the private jets, all of those things that she could have if she were to stop limiting herself to the usual, average, normal, which suddenly, you know, in the beginning, those words were used normally. But then as the skit goes further on and further on, those words are now used as bad words. They're average, they're loser, they're apathetic and lazy because you're just usual and average and typical and normal. And so that suddenly starts to It unfreezes her mind. It unfreezes her perception of herself as she continues to hear more and learn more. The changing part of the process is formally within indoctrination sessions, informally by members, CDs, books, etc. Use of behavior modification like thought stopping and control of the environment, and even just mystical manipulation, use of confession and testimonials. All of these things are continuing to get her more and more indoctrinated and more immersed in the content that they have you reading, they have you listening. The other members in the group are supposed to be enforcing this positivity. And if you were to ever have a negative thought or a negative, you were to say something negative about what's going on in your life or talk about something real that's going on with you, there's thought stopping techniques of like, oh, that's negative. You need to say something more positive. You need to speak life into your life. You should not be, acknowledging even the negative thing that's going on. You speak positively and your thoughts will change your actions and your actions will change your results. And so you constantly are having to use those thought stopping techniques to try to retrain your brain to be more positive. But all of that culminates into changing your own self-identity, your own way of how you perceive your story, your own narrative of how your life is. And then finally, the refreezing stage is where that change is really taking into full effect. It's really taking hold. The new identity is reinforced. The old identity is surrendered. You're separate from the past to decrease contact or cut off friends and family, to give up meaningful possessions and assets, to engage in cult activities like recruit, fundraise, move in with members, a new name or clothing, hairstyle, language, and family, pair up with new role models or the buddy system, and ongoing indoctrination like workshops, retreats, seminars, individual studies, and group activities. So a lot of that, like the reason why the friends and family were the pirate costume was because along the way, as you're changing your thought process about your own self, they're also calling into question how your loved ones were really interacting with you. And in the unfreezing stage where they're kind of implanting false memories, like false negative memories or erasing positive memories, and they're changing your narrative of how you thought your life was, they're also changing the way that you see your friends and family around you. And so even though her friends and family were just normal average, just like Wanda, and they would typically be wearing the, grad cap or whatever, just kind of, normal people, now suddenly Wanda is hearing from them and seeing them as dream thieves. They are here to steal her ambition, and they're here to steal, her drive and motivation to make her life better. And suddenly these are the people who are holding her back. And these were the people that were making her life average and normal. And these were the people who were making her life miserable. And that changed, nothing within them changed. Nothing in her circumstance changed as far as her, her apartment, her job, her car, whatever. The only thing that changed was how she started perceiving those things. And beyond that, the giving up meaningful possessions and assets, when she threw off that grad cap and grabbed the hat that duplicates her upline, that kind of looks similar to her upline, these were things that, if you had previous ambitions, just like myself, I literally threw off the grad cap. I wasn't going to go back to school. I was going to continue going on the path of multi-level marketing. And I gave up my opportunity to go back to school that time. And so that's when I moved into my apartment, because my parents said, you're either going to go back to school or, we can't continue to support you while you are in this multi-level marketing cult. So you go back to school and you'll have a place to stay here, or you know, we can't continue to financially support you. And that might sound harsh to some people, but honestly, for me, that was an act of love, because they weren't going to continue to enable me to make this decision in my life without a little bit more adversity in the terms of financial adversity. But yeah, as you're refreezing your personality and your identity, you are giving up old ambitions. You're giving up your previous things that really mattered to you, and you're fully dedicating yourself now into this business. So, and then beyond that, just like pairing up with new role models or the buddy system, and having a new family. This business becomes your family, and the people that once were very close to you no longer take so much of a role in your life, because you're replacing everything that once mattered to you with something in this environment. And that's probably the most heartbreaking part of any indoctrination process, is that friends and family often feel like they're left behind, or that this person is changing overnight and adopting a completely different personality in front of their eyes, and there seems to be nothing that they can do to stop it. The one thing that I will say that Stephen Hassan writes in his book is that throughout this form of indoctrination and change, you never really lose your authentic self. So that was something that I wanted to explain, because I know that might not be picked up with Wanda's transformation. She changed her hair, she changed her headwear, she changed her makeup, but she never took off her glasses. And I think that for me, that symbolized that Wanda may have taken on a whole new form, but there was still part of her that you could always recognize within her. And so no matter who is going through some indoctrination process, or no matter how far in you are in the group, there will always be a part of you that is still your authentic self, and that is still your core self. So, you know, mind control might seem completely hopeless, like a hopeless situation in which this person is completely not the person that you used to know. But take heart in the fact that there will always be that authentic self that is a part of them, even though it might be deeply hidden down inside. And if you are to leave this kind of a group, or to leave this cult like I did, and my leaving was very sudden. I was not thinking I was going to leave, but when I took a break, they basically excommunicated me from the whole thing. So all at once, I lost that foundation, but I did not completely lose myself. Granted, I spiraled for a while, but I always had my authentic self, and that was who I ultimately returned to once I was out of this group and shed my, you know, the new identity that they had indoctrinated me with. I still don't really have a lot in common with the old identity that I had before Amway. So really all that I've had to work off of and recreate from, the only foundation that I had to build off of was my authentic self. And so I guess that's where I have to leave this video for today. I hope that we can continue to dive into how to help and reprogram or deprogram from a cult. But if you have a friend or family member who has gone through this process, I hope that this kind of gives a little bit more insight as to how this 3-stage process of changing someone's identity could take place, because it's so bizarre how fast it was. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she said, yeah, you changed in front of our eyes. Like, it was drastic. And so hopefully this gives a little bit more context to that, but also have hope that regardless of how much someone can change and be manipulated, there will always be that central part of themselves, that authentic part of themselves that will never change, and that will be ultimately what wins out in the end. And if/when they leave that group, that part of themselves will still be there. And that will be the part that you can still connect with and then build a new life with, or a new history with, and write a new story with. So anyway, I love you guys so much, and I thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, make sure to drop a like, because I guess that helps with the algorithm. I don't think I've ever asked you to like the video. Maybe I have. But if you want to like it, you should like it. And if you want to subscribe, you're welcome to do so. Anyway, okay. Bye.